Hey everybody, welcome back to Beyond the Field, the official podcast of the Drum Major Leadership Academy, sponsored by the Band app. I am Andy Fassbender. I'm the podcast producer here at DMLA, and tonight we are talking about move-ins, DCI move-ins. I am joined by Joey Massey, Dallan Heard, and Savannah Light. As for myself, I did 3 seasons with Legends Drum and Bugle Corps out of Kalamazoo, Michigan. I marched trumpet for 2, and I was one of the drum majors with my good friend Jack Murphy for my last season in 19. And because of COVID complications, I unfortunately won't be marching this season. But I got 3 seasons under my belt, so I got some things to say about movements. Joey, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Hi, I'm Joey Massey. I'm originally from North Carolina, and I was the drum major for the Seattle Cascades in 2018 and 2019. I served as the assistant in 18 and then as the head in 2019. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to my boy Dallan Heard, who was also at Seattle Cascades with me in 2019.
Hello, my name's Dallan Heard. I do DMLA stuff here at DMLA. I did march with Joey in 2019. I was the assistant in 2019, and then now I am at Blue Knights in 2021. So yeah, also passing it off to my other good friend Savannah Light.
Yes, hello. My name is Savannah Light. I am a drum major over at the Troopers Drum and Bugle Corps. I've been there since 2017 as an assistant conductor, and then in 2019 I was, I guess, promoted to head drum major for the Corps. So that was really cool. I would have aged out last year in 2020, but as Andy had already stated, COVID is a thing. So I'll be aging out this year with them.
Yeah, really, I think that is a common theme talking about DCI these days is COVID is a thing. That is, at the very least, we can all very much agree on that. What we can all also very much agree on is when you go through the grueling audition process, you've done this, that, and the other, you're finally getting close to your summer, and it's coming up. Move-ins, the day. We're coming up. You're texting if it's your first year. You're looking on forums online. What do I need to bring? All this, that, and the other. You're texting vets, like all that. So I feel like that really is the first step in like in moving in is getting ready to move in, the anticipation of moving in. Down, I know you had some thoughts about the whole lead up.
Yeah, it's my favorite part. I'm kind of in that. I'm kind of in the lead up right now, because we have move-ins in what's today? I don't know. We have move-ins in like 7 days. Okay, I move in 7 days, and it's crazy because I get to fly to Denver, Colorado, and do summer band. But you just kind of you're trying to get all your ducks in a row before you leave because you got like doctor's appointments, so you got to get your physical done because drum corps require that. Most do, and then you got to vaccination records, because COVID is a thing. And then once you do all that, get all that stuff done, and then you got to pack. You got to get jugs, your water jugs. You got to get your clothes. You got to get everything. And we have like this huge packing list, and it's just basically just like you're running around with your head chopped off. You're like and you're just like. And I remember in 2019, I packed up all my stuff in 20 minutes. I had like all my clothes and stuff like that, and I packed it all in 20 minutes, and it was we did it, okay, and then it was a pretty good season. So anticipation's great.
I definitely took more than 15 or more than 20, 15 minutes. I did do it all in a day this year. I did some laundry. Pro tip for any of y'all packing right now for move-ins, I wash everything before I pack it, and then I put dryer sheets in like everything as well. It makes stuff smell much better, and it's a pro tip.
Yeah, my pro tip is make sure that you have all of your clothes in little like Ziploc baggies, like the gallon ones. Like I put everything in there and I like squeeze the air out, and it one like makes everything packed down so much nicer, but it also keeps things way cleaner. Because if you can do that and you get everything stuffed in there, it keeps everything way cleaner. All your like dirty rehearsal clothes aren't touching your clean clothes.
Yeah, and if you're worried about wrinkles, don't worry about wrinkles. They're gonna be rehearsal clothes anyways. It's no one's judging your wrinkles.
Yeah, and the thing about plastic bags, especially if it's your first year, I know I remember people talked about that at Legends, and I was like, oh, plastic bags, like that's so much work and stuff. But like, I would say at the very least, like if you do think that is too much work, at the very least, your free day or laundry clothes, because you know you're gonna be going for every court's different. We normally would go a week and a half to 2 weeks, in between laundries, and you're wearing yucky clothes that whole time, and so having a clean, fresh pair of clothes paired with the dryer sheet, that really is a hot pro tip. When you put the dryer sheet in the bag, because you just smelled horrible all week, and then you get to the laundry day and it smells like it's fresh out of the dryer. It might not look like it. You might have a little bit of wrinkles, but once again, everyone else is living out of their suitcase, so it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, and like, see, there's the only issue about like making everything so compact and tight is that like, okay, it's like obviously you got the anticipation, so you're thinking about this a lot, and then you pack everything really really tight and constricted, right? And then you encounter this demon called tour spread, all right? So yeah. So you just basically what happens is that you're taking all these confined objects that are confined inside of a space bag that has the oxygen sucked all the way out of it, and then and then it you have to take it out of that and then wear it, and then you put it back in there, and it's obviously not as constricted, right? So it can't all fit. So then you got to sit there and like try to finagle it and pop zippers and stuff like that, and try to figure out how to like keep everything in one space while it's been like not constricted anymore.
I'm gonna say I've done both. Like, I think 18, I just did the shove it all in the suitcase. Who cares, And then 19, I was like, Ziploc bag, be organized and perfectly put together. It kind of ended up just turning into everything in the suitcase I stopped carrying.
Yeah.
But going into it organized, that's the big brain
Yeah,
move right there.
that's the goal. You're at least setting yourself up for success, even even if you don't get there. Yeah, because I mean, Dallin's right. It really is kind of. I've normally found myself spending at least 30 minutes on my laundry days just reorganizing. It helps, at least for me personally. It brings like such peace of mind because it does start to stress you out when you are throwing all the crap back in there. It, Speaking of throwing all the crap in there and like not having a lot of room, I didn't plan my first year to have two pairs of shoes, and I did get two pairs of shoes, and I would also highly recommend that. Gives your feet a break because your shoes aren't hitting the same like part on your feet every day, and then it allows your other pair of shoes to decompress, or if it like rains and you're caught out in block, your shoes can dry out. But if you are bringing two pairs of shoes, be ready for those, because those, and I know it doesn't seem like that big a deal, but like every little bit of space counts on tour, and uh, my shoes like got bigger as the season went on, just because I mean, when you're wearing them for at least 9 to 10 hours a day, like you are going to wear them out fast. So, and that's also another thing. If you want to keep your shoes in a bag, some people I know do that, but you really do have to be careful with like mold and stuff. So that's kind of like dealer's choice. That's definitely something I would ask like vets or read up online about, is shoe care. That's vital, very important.
Yeah, Andy, with what you're saying with putting shoes in bags, something that and we've mentioned putting clothes in bags, something that I still didn't do this year, and hopefully it doesn't bite me in the butt later. I still have yet to put like my toiletries and my shampoo and conditioners and stuff in baggies or some protective seal around it. And every year it never fails that something opens and all the fresh laundry I just did on the laundry day is now covered in my body wash. And that's always a fun time.
I had that happen, I think, every year with my shampoo. I tried to get around it. I tried. But I see, like, I always bring these, like, big bottles. Like, they're huge of shampoo, so I don't have to buy another one, but you can't fit those in a bag.
Wait,
So
how do you
I'm
get
like, yeah.
wait, how do you get that through airport security?
You check it.
Okay. Check this out. Here's the reason why my stuff never gets dirty because of shampoo bottles. I have two separate bags. Okay. So like Pro tip: have two separate bags. Okay, so you have your big bag that has all your clothes and all of your other stuff, and then you have a shower bag that is combined with your sleeping bag, and then you'll have like your sleeping bag, mattress, whatever, towel, and then your shampoo and stuff like that. That's right.
Maybe that's why
Smart.
it always took you so long to get ready during EPA.
Anyways, don't listen to him. So this podcast has got turned into a packing pro tip packing, but it's mostly about movements. Okay, so the anticipation's
Well,
done.
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, it's important though. Like
Well,
I know
yeah,
we've been ragging on it, but it's a lot of people you find, they're getting there the first night and they're like, I forgot this or I need that, and the more the more we can help people prepare. And I just thought it was funny for people who are listening when Savannah mentioned the shampoo stuff. All of us started cracking up because, like, it's true. Like, somebody inevitably on tour will have a shampoo bomb go off in their bag. Also, quickly about the bags. I know Dallan said have a couple of bags, but some cores do not let you have more than one bag. So be sure you know what your core's rules are in terms of like bus storage and stuff. That wasn't a problem with me, but that do be how it be with some people. Um, so once we move past the anticipation, you finally get there. The first night, every core's first night. This is actually really interesting for people who have never marched. Every core's first night is a little bit different. If everybody, I know Joey and Dallin, you'll have kind of a similar um, story here. But if we want to go from Savannah to you two, and then I can wrap up. What's like, 3-5 minutes? Tell us what your first night is like moving in.
Yeah, so the Troopers move-in night is I think every year has been somewhat different because I think all 3 years that I've marched at Troopers, like yeah, three because I'm going into my fourth now. Um, we've been somewhere different every year, so it's been interesting with that. I know in my rookie year we were in Indiana at the farm is what we call it, and we all slept in a like gym area. So the entire 4 weeks of spring training we were in one gym. So um, I also came in late my rookie year, so I don't really know what the first night was like that at the farm. But then my second year in 2018 we stayed in a like I don't even know what to call it. Either way, the sleeping areas was kind of like barracks for like the military kind of. So there was like a couple rooms with a bunch of bunk beds in it, and that was really fun because you would have like large groups of people in one room, but there would still be separate rooms and stuff. And so the first night there was a lot of like where are we going? We there's like a check-in area and you go and check in and then you find out like where you can go to sleep and you go sleep or you go put your stuff there. You find everyone else and you hear about where the core meeting is happening, the first one, and we have our first core meeting where we listen to we always have our um, what do you call her? A lawyer. Our lawyer comes in, our attorney. That's what she is. She comes in and she talks about how like you have to behave a certain way and like don't post these things because they're illegal and stuff like that. Um, and other.
You'll have a whole legal team come in and tell y'all. we we had none
Yeah,
of
it's like this is so drastically different from like this is why I'm glad we have this wide swath of people. Like
Yeah,
this is
like
so like
I'm sitting here like, what?
we're sleeping in the barracks. We got gruel tomorrow at 7 a.m. Don't be late for
Actually,
your
believe it or
slop.
not, in
We begin it
2018
readily.
we had like we were in Wyoming for spring training and we had like the Douglas County news station want to come and record us first morning there, so like everyone gets there late evening ish the first night, and then the first morning we had to be up at 4 a.m. so we can have a 5 a.m. recording.
Nope,
Yeah,
not for
it was
me.
completely awful,
That's a
but
little
it was a lot of
ridiculous.
fun. It was super foggy and just interesting, but it was done and we did it. It was great. But then in 2019 we were in um oh my, where were we? Oh, we were in Idaho. That's where we were. Uh, and this was the first time that we had moved housing sites in the middle of spring training, so that was fun. But this is first night. I'm trying to remember what the first night was like. We stayed in dorms this time, so every year was something different. We were in a gym all together, then we were in barracks, and then we were in dorm rooms where it was just two people per bedroom. And so yeah, I that's the best I got.
Was there anything like memorable that you guys did on the first night, or did you just
Usually
have a
the
meeting
first
and then
nights is
turn
just
in?
have a meeting and turn in. Maybe there's a like campus tour. I can't remember if that was the first night or the next day though now. Um, and we would also have a I in 2019 I had everyone take an index card on the first night and write down their why and reason for being at the core and what motivates them to like keep pushing in the days. And then every day after that, I would read someone's why, either anonymously or not, to the core. And so we did that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I know. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Andy. But we had our first night was. I know me and Joey kind of had a little different first night. Just because we got there a little like about a week and a half before everyone else. We had leadership. Oh, sorry, two. No, it wasn't. Sorry, it was 2 or 3 days. I don't know where I got a week and a half from. Joey, didn't we get there like 2 3 days before everyone else? We had leadership move-ins, right?
To Laconer or to
To Washington, we marched Cascades, so we marched in Washington. But
okay, well, okay, so we sort of had a weird build up in 19. So in 19, we actually decided, or at least the drumline decided that they wanted to do like a pre-season camp. So we actually stayed at one of the board of directors' house. So two of the board of directors, their son is actually the percussion caption head. Um, and so we stayed at their house, and the drumline did a whole like thing, and they would be rehearsing on their own. And a bunch of us who arrived to Washington early just kind of hung out. We actually went to Mount Baker one day, and it was like honestly the most fun. Like they kind of just turned us loose, and they were like, "Yeah, go have fun, go climb a mountain, whatever." Uh, so we were kind of used to being around each other, especially around the percussion. And then so move-ins, when we got to the school, we stayed at this tiny school. I mean, it was an elementary school in the middle of like northern Washington, only about 30 minutes from the Canadian border, and it's this town called Laconer. It's beautiful. I mean, you're surrounded on like three sides by mountains in the distance. There's like beautiful farmlands. I think there's tulips in the area. There's like this river that goes right by the school. It's so pretty, but it's small. And we were in an elementary school, so everything was like miniature.
yeah, the toilets, man. That was
Uh,
the one that got me. It was uh,
what are
yeah,
those toilets, man? They were tiny.
they were so
Uh,
small.
for whatever reason, this elementary school had showers, though. So it
Yep.
was really weird.
That's yeah. I hope
Um,
you're sounding like you're shocked and appalled, but I'm sure you were very happy to have shower as
Oh
Well,
well.
okay, so they also the high school was across the street,
yeah. It
and
was.
so every night they would unlock the locker rooms to the high school so we could go use those. I think it had something to do with like the reason we didn't stay in the high school was like the fees for staying in there were real expensive, whereas the elementary school was more affordable. Um, but our first night in 19, um, I mean, we got there early, and then honestly, I think that was pretty much it. People just kind of rolled in at different times. We did a lot of setup, like lining the field, setting up the scaffolding. Um, but other than that, I really don't think, I mean, getting all the instruments out, unloading the truck, everything, but I don't think we rehearsed or anything. I think there was maybe a short meeting. Dallin, do you remember?
Yeah. So like, it's funny because like and we were talking about making this podcast for a while now, and I was like, yeah, first day, and I was just like, yeah, first day of drum corps. And then as Joey was talking, I was like, wait, what was the first day? And I was just trying to remember what we even
We
did.
didn't do much.
Yeah, because it's just like
Um,
I know that we had like Joe was talking about, we were already in Washington at the time, so we had already kind of got acquainted to most people, most of the drum line like pretty well. So we get to Laconer, and I know that especially being a drum major, it was set up, set up, set up, set up, set up, set up. You got to set up everything, set up this, set up that, set up the truck, set up the trailer. Like you just got to set up everything. Um, But yeah, so we set up everything, and then we had to facilitate people like setting their stuff in the gyms. I remember that, and I slept next to Joey for the entirety of move-ins, and I miss you, Joey.
Oh
But it,
yeah, we did. We did
yeah,
the whole tour.
yeah, we slept next to each other pretty much almost all the time. But yeah, so we just had we had one full core meeting, and then basically when you first get there, there's a lot of things running through your head. And Savannah and Joey and Andy, y'all please jump in. But like I know that what was going through my head was just like, oh gosh, like because like I was 17 at the time, and I was selected for a world class drum major position, and I was just like, oh gosh, like I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to make sure I perform to standard, okay? And it's like you're just very nervous, you're gripping your hands, and you're kind of like seeing everything go by. And then specifically Joey, I remember that. One of the core directors came up, or the assistant core director thing, his name was, no, sorry, the tour director, Jeremy Bennett. He walks up to us and he hands us like new scores to everything, and he
I
was like,
remember
"Hey,
that.
here's the updated scores," and we're like, "Okay." And like they had like changed like some little thing in the opener, but they forgot to change it for the percussion, but they changed it for the brass. So what ended up happening was that there was a one measure of music that we didn't know where it was at that was different, and it was causing sections to be like mismatched, and we didn't know where the discrepancy was. So yeah,
I remember that. It was a mess.
yeah.
And for me, that was my first season. So 18 was a little different. The first day, I actually think we rehearsed in 18 on the first day. Um, it was like a short music rehearsal. It wasn't anything long, but I do remember us doing one. And at that time, I was feeling something really similar to Dallan, where I was, because as the assistant, I was selected. I had never actually been a drum major before, so it was very much like I was trying to live up to the standard that I had set in my mind, and I didn't really know what to do and what was expected of me. So 19, it was coming in, and you'd think I would be a little less nervous, but then now I was in the head position, and I had no idea what I was doing, and so now I was trying to live up to another
Yeah, you were following up
like
Nick Novi,
standard.
right? You following up Nick Novi, right?
Nick Novi, yep, what
Which
a
is,
man.
he was a very famous, like he had been at Cascades for like 5 years, and he was a drum major for like what, like 3 years at the time.
Two, I think. But he had still been around the core for a long time. People knew him, people respected him. And so it was trying to bring it up, like trying to step into his shoes and like keep that image up. And that was very nerve wracking for me.
Yeah, like genuinely almost the exact same situation at Legends. Jack and I were coming in 19 with Noah Coach, who was leaving Legends. He was going into an admin role. He had been with Legends for 10 years. He marched, for people who are listening, you're hearing that right. He marched for 10 years. And then he was drum major for 4 of those years, his last 4 years. And so
Yeah,
that was a
Andy, same
constant
thing
theme
for
throughout
me
the season,
too.
but
I was
that's a
following
story.
up Gabe Gallegos,
Yeah.
who marched for
Yeah.
8 years at Troopers. He was a drum major for 4, so I think we were all in that same boat, following up some big names uh, at our course. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it is very relatable the way that we were all feeling, that we're all describing right now, is how a lot of rookies feel too. And like coming in, like you're like, wow, this is not Lucas Oil Stadium that I've been watching on YouTube in my high school chemistry class. This is real. Like I'm really doing this. And for a lot of people, it's kind of like a shock. And at Legends, like we kind of tried to like alleviate that. The first night would have a big core meeting. We would talk. Our director, would talk about like the meaning of like us and who we are, and yeah, kind of similar to Savannah, like how you're expected to act. Like here are the ground rules, and then we would do like a bunch of like icebreakers and that, but like fun, not cringy ones, like actually like fun ones. And we started with fun ones, and then we would get like more and more personal. And my personal favorite was Walk the Line, where you have a group of like pretty, like, it starts off pretty basic, but then it can get pretty personal with the questions, and you split up the core just randomly. and you say like, okay, walk the line if you ever have had like chocolate ice cream, and you throw like a softball, and of course like everyone's going to walk the line. So you swap sides of the room when it's true for you. And so as things get more personal, you're seeing, Joey from Kansas, who you've maybe said 2 words to in the parking lot because you were the first person uh, that he saw. And now you're seeing, oh my gosh, Joey has also had, has lost a close family member, has, traveled over 300 miles to get here. Like, and so that was always like, we would always end with that. And that really like helped. I feel like calm, like that kind of sense of, I don't know what my place is. I don't know how to follow this up for the drum majors. And then for the new people, oh my God, this is actually drum corps. I'm actually here. I'm actually doing this. And then that was the actual first night. We also did have a kind of leadership camp. It was about 3 days. We did team building
Yeah,
within
I think
us.
it's really
Savannah, I
cool
know you had
that
something
so many
something to add
corps
there.
do a like pre-move-ins thing with either their percussion or their leadership. I don't think Troopers has ever done that. I know our percussion has done like pre-move-in stuff, but it's always been in Texas, and basically the entire drum line's from Texas already. So and front ensemble too. So like I don't know exactly what that is all like, and I think they all stay at like friends' houses and everything, so it's not as deep as like going into move-ins. But I wonder what it would take to get my core to start doing that.
Yeah. So like Savannah's talking about, like you normally you'll have the percussion, right? You have the percussion. They'll have their, because this percussion's a big deal on drum corps. Okay, they keep the tempo. People think that drum majors keep the tempo. No, it's the percussion. Okay, so
Well,
they
it is drum corps. Just saying.
Yeah, so the percussion, like they want to prioritize their time, so they try to move in at least a week or two before everyone else, right? And then you have the leadership move-ins, which is what Savannah was just talking about, and then you have spring training, or some other people call them all days. And as people, if you've already marched drum corps, you know how it is, but it's like a band camp that's in South Texas or South Georgia heat. That's like 127 billion degrees all the time. That's always humid or dry, depending on where you're at, and it never
That
ends.
is, unless you have the Cascades.
Yeah, and it never ends.
We'll get to
Okay,
that.
so it's, yeah, like Joey's alluding to something funny, which we'll talk about in a bit, but it never ends, man. You're just like every day, all day. You're waking up at 7 or 8 a.m. and then you're having a 12-hour rehearsal day, and then you're going to bed and doing the same thing over again for 15, 30 days, depending on drum corps. So, Joey, talk about your your caveat to the whole "it's always hot" in spring training.
So Cascades, as I said, we're from Washington, and while Eastern Washington can get very, very hot in the summer, Western Washington doesn't usually. And so everyone else in drum corps has like super hot all days, super hot spring training, whatever, except for whatever the Cascades. Some might call us lucky, but it's also awful when things get cold. So LaConner is, again, a beautiful place. It's also rather cold, even in the summer. Our best days were like 70 degrees. Which were honestly quite pleasant. Like, most people would be like, ooh, drum corps at 70 degrees? That's great.
How was the cloud cover? Was it like perpetually cloudy, or was it at least sunny?
It depended.
Washington is, yeah, Washington, it's in the summer is less cloudy. So it was actually sunny most of the time. Although in 18, actually, I will say in 18, the Connor had like the most gorgeous weather. Like, it was like 70 pretty much the whole 2 weeks we were there. It was sunny most days. I think we only got a little bit of misty rain like one day.
The one thing,
19,
Joey,
on the other hand, was a different story.
yeah, one thing real quick, Joey. Like, so during the morning, it was, okay, so during the morning you wake up, you'll usually have a PT block, and you're always like moving in the mornings, so it's bearable in the mornings. The cold is kind of bearable. All right. So, but you get into the afternoon block, it gets hot. You take your jacket off. Okay, that's fine. But you get into full ensemble or the evening block. Oh my gosh, the cloud coverage will start, like the sun will start to go down as the sun does in the world, and then the clouds will start to come and cover the sun up, and then it, like, the Antarcticness that runs through your veins is absolutely excruciating. Okay, because you're not really moving much during full ensemble, and if you don't know, full ensemble is like where you have all the sections that rehearse together. Normally they don't rehearse all together during the day. You have percussion in percussion land, guard in guard land, brass with brass, you know. But in full ensemble, everyone comes together. So it's different sections are working, or the brass caption head, the percussion, like the staff, they're working with different sections. So you'll have dead time, right, where nobody's doing anything except for one section, and so you just have to stand there, and it's just like you can't feel your toes, your hands are going numb, and it's just like, and you're just sitting there, you're like, God, please let the clouds come back or go away.
Okay,
Let's
just
come out.
ju- a quick caveat. That is exclusively a
Cascades. That is
a
just the
Cascades thing.
Cascades.
That is not. I've seen people drop like in full ons because it's hot. So yeah.
Well, and so for the rest of tour, yeah, it gets hot, but during all days for us, no, it's cold, especially in 19, because the key thing wasn't the cloud cover, it was the wind. The wind was incessant and powerful. It was like we were getting at least 20-mile-an-hour winds every day, constantly. And there were times. Well, the problem is like it's drum corps. You expect it to be hot. It's in the summer, so you don't really pack a lot of warm clothes. So I had a jacket and a pair of Adidas track pants, and so I was freezing the entire time. And I think everyone in the corps was. But the wind would be so strong. There was one point where I was standing on the podium, and the wind blew me so strong I had to crouch down, and the front ensemble tech had been sitting on the podium, and she had to grab onto my leg to
Joey,
keep me from
I
falling off
experienced
because
that
the wind had blown me
all the
back that
time.
much.
Like anytime it's a
It
windy
was
day,
intense.
me being I'm not being 5 feet tall, standing on like a 6 foot tall podium, the wind takes me, and like in the middle of a rep, I will like be adjusting my feet, trying to conduct and like stand still. It's awful. But you're talking about how it was cold and windy all the time for your move-ins in 2018 and 2019, I think. Actually, it was 2019. We would have very, very rainy days. We would have like in a 7 day week, right? 4 or 5 of those days would be rainy all day. We could not get anything done. It was awful. So many times it would just be like, all right, it's raining again. Too hard. It's lightning. Go inside the like gymnasium area and start setting up an arc or something like that. Rainy rehearsal days could also be really fun. Uh, I also remember that the wind, as you were talking about, we would have a dust storm in Idaho. It would just start to get really windy, and there would be like these. I don't even know what they were. They looked like dirt farms. I don't know what else they could have been. It was just dirt, land of dirt. And so when the wind would come by, it would just come all over towards like the rehearsal fields, and all you can see is just dirt flying around. By the end, you're just covered in dirt, and it's the most disgusting feeling ever. And showers never gets it all away, and it's great times, great times.
Yeah. Uh, sorry about that. Yeah. It is so interesting, like hearing your guys' perspective based on like where you are in the country, because like even though people poo-poo the Midwest,
Yeah,
man, I gotta
anytime I
say
was in
our
Indiana
weather
for
was
2017 move-ins, it
fantastic.
was
Like we
it's
really,
pretty nice. It might have
yeah,
gotten decently warm a few days, but nothing too unbearable. And at night, as Dallan mentioned, the sun goes down on Earth. That's a thing. And it would get really cold, especially for me being my small self. I would freeze by the end of the night, but and then maybe a few days of rain, but Indiana was always the best with weather.
yeah, yeah. The humidity will get you though. That is the caveat. It's not all peaches and cream out in the Midwest. So definitely, yeah. Don't feel too good for us. Yeah. Yeah. Our one spring training site and 17 was right by a forest. And one day, speaking of wind, this ties into the whole wind theme that we somehow. I hope everyone listening is like super excited. We're just telling all these wind stories. This one's kind of terrifying. We were in brass block, and people closest to the forest kept fidgeting, and it was like day like 4 or something. And so brass staff is like, not nicely, it's their job to keep us in line. They're like, what are you guys doing? Stop fidgeting, or not like, or everyone's gonna run, but like stop fidgeting, like we need to, like, you know they're just giving us the business. Stop fidgeting, like it's your job to stand there. You gotta learn it sooner or later. You can't be fidgeting over here. And that's that's what they were doing. And they kept trying to say, there's something falling from the sky. There's something falling on us. And the staff was, you know, whatever. They all marched like Crown, and like one guy marched like Phantom when they were really hardcore in the mid 2000s. So like they were just like, oh, yeah, it's fine over there. And then everyone starts feeling it, and somebody realizes it's we kind of like break for water, and somebody runs up to the staff, and they're like, okay, like we need to like figure out what to do. There was a huge like spider problem in the area that we didn't know about, and
No.
there was spiders hatching in the
No.
forest. And if you don't know how spiders hatch, when the babies, and they lay like thousands of babies at once, when the babies hatch, they draw like lines of web, and then they fly through the wind to like get to a new part in the land, so they have a greater chance of survival. And so we were getting covered in spiders, and so we would always terrify the new, in a nice way, like the new rookies, if they were complaining any day, would be like, at least you weren't in spider block. Back in my day,
That
it
is
rained spiders
absolutely
on us.
awful. I will take the
So
dirt
That's always a
over
good story.
spiders any day. Oh my. I remember another wind
I'll take
story
the
real
cold
quick.
over the
I was
spiders.
on a ladder, and the wind had actually pushed the ladder over, and that was fun. Another time, the brass was rehearsing doing basics block or something, and I was standing around. I wasn't the one running Met. One of the other conductors was at the time, and one of the like soccer goals on the edge of the field started blowing towards the ensemble as they're in the middle of the basics block. So me and a visual caption head just ran over to this giant soccer goal, and we're just holding it back casually in the middle of visual block. And if we moved, it would just keep going. So we had nowhere to go except standing against a soccer goal.
Okay. Last win story. This involves Joey. Okay. So I was on the side.
The story.
I was on side 1, okay, which is the left side of the field if you're looking at the field, okay. And so I'm on my ladder, whatever, doing ladder stuff as you conduct, right? And Joey was like getting his binder out, and Joey had his binder on top of the podium, okay. It's very windy. It was like gusting at like 60 miles an hour. I'm sorry, like 30.
I'm pretty sure I even put my water jug like on top of it to weigh it down.
And so
Like,
I was like over there doing stuff, and then I walk over to Joey, and then he's like getting on top of his podium, and then like he puts his binder so that like the way it's closing is like facing towards the gusts of wind. And like Joey was like talking to staff, and then like a gust of wind happens, his binder like opens up, and the page protectors catch wind, and like if you know page protectors, right? They have like the pocket, where it protects the pages, and like the wind got in it and like opened up the rings of the binder, so all of the stuff, like all of his pages, flew to another side of the field and to another field and like down the road.
I remember like watching that happen. It was going like across the field, and so the problem was is that we were like on these separate fields. So right behind my podium there was actually a big long fence, so it wasn't like I could just jump off the podium and run. Like you'd have to go around to go get them. And so I just saw that. I looked and saw all of my music going away, and I just stood there and like basically just cried. I was just like, what
That
am I
happened to
gonna
me
do?
once, and I just remember immediately thinking, what pages do I have the most notes on? Because like I know some of these are like if it because the one time I had me, it was really windy. I was like, I know some of these are gone. I need to prioritize. Like that. That was like a horrible, horrible feeling. But I mean, hey, what do you? Mother Nature, and drum corps. They really make it. What's for people who are listening, everyone's laughing. It really that's half the season, dang
and,
near.
and then and then like a lot of people are just like sometimes like they hear us talking about these stories. They're like, why would you do drum corps? It sounds like you just like put yourselves through a bunch of unnecessary stuff with a bunch of other people who you don't really know, and you pay thousands of dollars to do summer band in heat that's unbearable, and then you just kind of look at them and you're like, in your mind, you're just like, you would understand. Like you develop some of the closest bonds with people that you'll ever develop, and you like create some of the best memories that maybe you'll ever create, honestly. And then it's honestly just shared trauma, if I'm being quite honest. But
Honestly, yesterday I was hanging out with some of my friends, and most of them had all done band with me except for one person. And I was talking to them and I was telling them some drum corps stories, and then so another friend looks at me. He says, "Hey Joey, should I do drum corps?" I was just like, "Absolutely!" And he was just like, "You just spent 15 minutes complaining about it and telling all these awful stories," and I was like, "Yeah, it is the best thing I've ever done."
it's like you just wouldn't get it,
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah, and it's yeah. Sorry, down interrupt, but
no,
like
go ahead, buddy.
it seems like a flippant, disrespectful response. Like when you say that, and I don't think anyone here is very full of themselves at all. Like it's just true. Like you can't describe it like the way that things, particularly the way that things develop through the season, and that starts with movements. Yeah,
Yeah, and
go
honestly, I
go ahead.
think that my is right. I think that my best advice for getting, or for my first and foremost best advice is go do drum corps. Okay, and if you can't, then go do DCA or drum corps associates. But please go do summer band or band in general. But I think my number one advice for move-ins is don't forget why you're there, because it's gonna suck. You're gonna get in there, and like Savannah was talking about earlier, they write down their why and reason at the beginning. But it's, I mean, like there was times where me and Joey, like I vividly remember us sitting in the truck and like just looking at each other, and then just like looking down at the ground and just wanting to bust out crying because of whatever is going on. But don't forget why you're there, all right? And that goes at the same in
Yeah,
life as
along
well.
with
Just
that,
don't
don't
forget why
forget
you're
why
here,
you're
okay?
there. Also
So
surround
somebody else
yourself with
want
people
to give
that
advice?
you can get mad at and know that your relationship will be okay in the end. Have that open conversation with those around you. Make that one or two friends that you can say, hey, if I need someone to just yell at, can you be that person for me? And then can our relationship be okay at the end of it? And have that, and that has to go two ways as well. Like find two, like a one or two people for you and say, I can yell at you, you can yell at me, and then at the end we'll hug and everything will be okay. Cool.
Yeah, and I'd say for me, my advice is never think about how much you have left to do. Think about what you've already done. It's really, really dangerous, and you get yourself in a mental trap if you start to think, oh, only so many days left of move ins and so many days left, and you try to make countdowns. Never count down to anything. It's going to get you in this trap, and you'll always be focused on the future. Instead, focus on what did you do? How much better have you gotten today? What have you gotten through today? Like, what have you learned? Look at, compared to the beginning of all days, how much you and the core have improved, or compared to uh, the first rounds of auditions, how much better you've gotten. And
Yeah. Fun
that
fact,
makes
Joey,
every day
our
much easier to get
visual
through if you're
caption
focused
had
on what you're
banded
doing and how
watches
much better
from
you've
his
gotten.
rehearsals because everyone would be looking at their watch wondering when lunch is going to be or when dinner was going to be. And so he was like, no more watches. Take your watches off. Fix your tan line and let's focus.
Yeah, we from my first year, we had no, absolutely not. And people like some people like would like take a quick glance at their phone, but that wasn't the theme of block. And I've always heard this like summed up. I forget who first said this to me, but I always thought this was a good saying: is don't live for the weekend. Like when you're in move-ins, like just to add on to what you two are saying, don't live for the weekend. My biggest piece of advice is like your move-ins experience is going to be your own. I found that when I was a drum major, I had a lot of people coming to me when there was problems, saying like comparing themselves to others, saying, "Well, so and so is doing this, that, or the other." Like they were just having like such a, and it wasn't jealousy. It was like, why am I struggling today? Why am I crying today? Why was I, why did I throw up this morning during the run? Because I'm out of shape, but these people aren't. Like everyone during spring training has their own struggle. I guarantee you, even Timmy Rollins from it's he's a super vet. It's a 6th year. I guarantee you he is still struggling. Like everybody struggles during move-ins. So just know, no matter what, you're not alone. Even if you like don't make friends at first, because it's hard for some people. Whatever whatever that may be. But no, you always have your drum major team, you always have your admin team, and the friends will come. The drum corps that we are reminiscing about right now will come, and it's hard to see it in spring training, but it does come, and it comes for everybody. So uh, be yes, like Joey says, be if you are going to look forward to something, count to something, count towards that, but know that it's not really something you can count to. It's just going to happen, and you'll be able to reminisce. Yep. Um, and with that, that's about all the time we have, everybody. That was a good one. We had a lot of fun, a lot more fun stories than I thought, which I think was I really I enjoyed that. I hope everybody listening is quite pleased with that.
Just quickly, real quick, there's a term in move-ins that I think is really important to add here. It's a thing called hitting your wall. You will hit it. You need to find those people that you can talk to. You need to find your why, and you need to think back on what you have done and how much you can grow and how much you have been growing. So the hitting your wall is just that moment when you break down and realize this is really hard. And I just wanted to identify that term with y'all.
Yeah, yeah, it was great making this podcast with y'all. I enjoy every moment that we have together. So thank you everybody for being here, and that's all I have. Yeah.
Awesome. Everybody, we appreciate you tuning in, and we'll be back 2 weeks from now. Once again, the official DMLA podcast, the end of the episode, sponsored by the Band app, Move-ins. And thank you guys for listening. Hope everybody has a fantastic morning, evening, night, whenever you're listening to this, watching this, and we'll see you all in 2 weeks. Thanks, everybody.